This is a $500 CNC router, one of the cheapest you can find. And this is a $5,000 CNC router, one of the highest rated CNCs on the market. So today we're putting both machines head to head to determine, is this machine actually worth 10 times as much? To test these machines, we'll be cutting out 3 popular CNC projects that are not only fun to make, but can also make you a little bit of money. We'll be grading each machine on speed and quality. But at the end of the video, we'll let you know exactly how many projects it takes to pay off the machine. That's what we're gonna find out. The first machine is the Fox Alien Masuder Pro. Now this is a very budget-friendly machine that, as is right here, costs right at $500. Its working area is around 16 by 16, and it runs off of a rubber pulley system. Now, as is, it's right at $500, but we'll be giving it this $80 spindle upgrade because this thing honestly really sucks, and I found that out on a review video I did just a few weeks ago. The second CNC is the Shapeoko 5 Pro. Now this machine has a 4-foot by 4-foot working area, runs off of ball screws and linear rails, and the base price is around $3,800. Now I have a $750 spindle upgrade on it, as well as a table, and if you include the legs with this machine, you're looking at an additional $350. So all-in cost for the Shapeoko 5 Pro is $4,950. The first project we'll be cutting out today is a family name sign out of a piece of cherry, and we'll be using a 90-degree V-bit. Now, why we are cutting this sign out is because it's going to test the accuracy and the cut quality of an engraving bit with this machine. All right, got the material held down on both CNCs. Hitting go on this one. Send it. So I didn't have high expectations coming into this machine, but when it was cutting out this sign, I was fairly surprised. It followed the toolpath, it cut everything out like it was supposed to, but I have a gut feeling it might not last because these machines are notorious for breaking down mid-cut. All right, Fox Alien's done. Time for the Shapeoko. On this one, send it. Now the Shapeoko did exactly what I'd expect. Fast, smooth, and cuts through this cherry like butter. But the real question is that difference actually worth it? Both machines finished up the signs and they are looking good. So first, let's talk about how long did it take. The Shapeoko cut it in 2 minutes and it was running at 75 inches per minute. The Fox Alien cut it out in 14 minutes and it was running at 30 inches a minute. So as far as quality goes, the one cut from the Shapeoko is absolutely perfect. There's no tear out, no chipping, no squiggles in the words, anything like that. So it's perfect. The one from the Fox Alien has slight mess ups right there, but no visible tear outs, nothing bad. And so overall, I would give the Shapeoko a 10 out of 10 and the Fox Alien a 9 out of 10. And for what I'm gonna be using these for, these letters are gonna be painted black anyways. And so I would say there is no real noticeable difference, though this one is slightly better when you look at them up close. Overall, both machines did a great job, but I'm giving the win to the Fox Alien because it produced really good results and it cost a fraction of the price. The next project we'll be cutting out is a classic whiskey smoker. Now we'll be cutting these out of oak and we'll be using an 1/8 inch upcut bit. Now the reason we're cutting these whiskey smokers out is, one, they are circular, right? And so it's a circle, and a circle is actually really hard to cut on a CNC, or at least computing wise, it's hard because you have two motors that have to work incongruent with each other. I think that's the word, congruent with each other, where this one has to turn and this one has to turn at the same rate. And so if it's gonna skip any steps, it's going to do it on a circle. So what I mean by skipping a step is simply this right here. I can move the machine, but the machine doesn't know it's moved. And so whenever it's carving out this sign, and let's say the machine starts to struggle, it starts like, let's say peeling out, right? The motors are going, but this stuff starts to slip a little bit. And so what would happen is it skips a step, the coordinates actually have changed, but the computer doesn't know it. And so it'll start actually cutting out, let's say this H way over here because it was struggling and the computer didn't know the machine was struggling, and there's all kind of crazy stuff like that. And that's why the top speed on this machine, I will always run it slower in this video than that machine right there. And especially because we're cutting oak, which is a dense wood, we're really gonna be able to see a good performance comparison on this small one versus this one. So if we get an oval, we know what happened, right? And so that is going to be so key. We're also gonna be doing some pocketing and some profiling. So this is a perfect project. It's not only a known seller, but it's really going to test the performance of both of these machines. Now, while I'm tightening up this bit, I will have the links for each of these machines down in the description, as well as any of the bits or materials we're using in this video. And I'm really happy to announce that CIC Workshop is now selling lumber. And so whether it's a board, a picket pack, different species, maple, cherry, oak, walnut, you name it, we have it on CIC Workshop. I'd love for you guys to check it out. It's really exciting. Got it held down on each machine. Let's run it. Get that same shot. No surprises here, as the Shapeoko makes quick work of that first initial pocket. Now I do have this bit running at 100 inches a minute for both the pocketing and the profiling, and even after years of CNC machining, it's still cool watching the machine do its thing. Now, time for the Fox Alien. Now, one thing I noticed right away on the Fox Alien is that it actually struggled to maintain speed when doing a circle, but overall, it did decent. I was running it at 30 inches a minute with an 1/8 inch pass depth. Now, everything was cutting good right up until this point. Well, we are 9 minutes in and it just glitched out for whatever reason. Just stopped mid-cut. It was going good. The Shapeoko's is done and I actually already sanded it down. Let me go get a new piece of oak, put it down, cut it out, and see if it actually cuts out all the way. Yay. Round 2 started off strong, so I did what any ADHD woodworker would do to keep himself occupied. A little bit of sawdust. Oh yeah, baby. A little gritty, but it worked. While I was enjoying my smoky creation, on the very last cut, the machine decided to skip a step. Luckily, it only ruined the whole project. All right, so both whiskey smokers are now cut out. One's been put to good use, a little bit too much good use. Whiskey smoker number 1 works, and it took right at 3 minutes to cut out. Whiskey smoker number 2, which was cut out on the cheaper CNC, had a little oopsies, And what I give this oopsie to is actually it's skipping a step. So maybe I was a little bit too aggressive, but it did actually cut out this first part fine. It drilled the holes fine. It did all this fine. But whenever I got around to actually profiling it out and cutting out this outside part, I actually saw this pulley right here actually skip over one of the teeth, which caused it to lose its coordinates, and you end up with this kind of result. I am going to pin that on me because maybe I was a little bit too aggressive. I was running it at 30 inches a minute. So if I crank that down and cut that in half to 15 inches a minute, you're looking at this taking about 30 minutes to cut out. Now, the first time it screwed up, I have no idea why. It was some kind of technical glitch between the computer and the CNC. For whatever reason, it stopped. So those kind of things do happen on these machines. What would I rank the cut quality on this one? If it does work like it should, I am going to give it a 4 because you're going to have to slow it down a ton to make it work. So can it cut out a whiskey smoker? Yes. Can it do it without you babysitting the machine? No. But it does give you a little bit more reason to have a drink while watching it like I did. Overall, the Fox Alien is capable of doing a whiskey smoker, but I'm definitely not confident enough to walk away and trust this machine. So in this case, I give the edge to the Shapeoko. The next project we'll be cutting out is a 3D carving out of maple. Now we'll have to use 2 different bits here. We'll be using a roughing bit for the material clear out, and then we'll follow that up with a 1/32 radius, 5.4 degree tapered ball nose. Now the reason I'm going to do a 3D carving is because if a CNC can repeatably do a 3D carving, then it hits all of the markers that a CNC can do, right? Because a 3D carving uses the Z-axis, the Y-axis, and the X-axis all in congruence with each other to produce a 3D carving. So this is going to be the ultimate test for both machines. Now, before I even put them on, the estimated time for the Shapeoko at my current feed rate is about an hour. The estimated time for the $500 CNC is 10 hours. So this is going to take a long time. I plan on really just running it overnight and seeing how it does. So wish me luck. I'll get your results soon. Now at the end of the video, remember, I will be comparing how many of these you have to cut out to pay off each machine. It's going to be exciting. This 3D carve will take 2 different tool paths. First is a roughing tool path to clear away most of the material. Then a finishing tool path with that tapered ball nose bit to give it all those details. Now it's time for the Fox Alien. For the roughing pass, I ran this with an 1/8 inch pass depth, and I did it at only 15 inches a minute, which is 10% of what I ran the Shapeoko at. And about an hour into the project, we hit a snag. So as I'm trying to do this 3D carving, this is late, it's after hours. What's happening is we're already starting to skip steps like I explained to you earlier in the video, and a lot of dirt is starting to get clogged underneath those tracks. And because of that, whenever I try to move this, it doesn't want to move. It's really struggling because those tracks are getting filled up with a lot of dust. And so this program is going to take hours, and I just don't think it's possible. You'd have to have a shop vac running or a dust collector running for the 12 or 13 hours it's going to take to do this program, on top of never getting any dust in there through the length of this program. So that's the update on this 3D carving. Kind of sucks, but that's the reality of it. So there you have it. So both of the signs are now finished up on each CNC, and as far as time goes, the Shapeoko took about an hour and a half to cut out this sign. It's 8 inches by 10 inches, and now all I have to do is trim it up and clear coat it, and it's looking good. And the Fox Alien, yeah. Now, as far as cut quality goes, I would give the Shapeoko a 10 out of 10. Everything came out good. But as far as the Fox Alien goes, I would give it a -3. But it is still salvageable. So if we take this portrait right here, and we still have them holding hands, somebody actually might still buy this. So it is still salvageable, but as far as 3D cutting goes, I would give the Shapeoko the win on this one, as the Fox Alien is a little lackluster. Overall, the quality of the Fox Alien was no bueno, even with my Picasso-like drawing on the front. So the clear winner is the Shapeoko. Now that all the projects are cut out, it's time to give you the raw numbers on how long it would take you to pay off each machine given the projects we cut out today. So let's start with the signs. Now, these signs sell for around $30 to $40, so let's assume that we can sell it for $35 and we have about $5 in material cost. So at $30 in profit per sign, the Fox Alien, which is this sign, would take 20 signs to pay off the machine. Whereas the Shapeoko, it would take 165 signs at $30 in profit per sign. Now the wildest number is the actual machine time it takes. Believe it or not, they're both about the same. It would take around 5 hours of actual CNC time for each machine to cut out its weight in signs, which is quite crazy to think about. Next up is the whiskey smokers. Now, assuming we could sell these whiskey smokers for around $20 and make $15 in profit, it would take 330 whiskey smokers to pay off the Shapeoko and only 38 whiskey smokers to pay off the Fox Alien. But once again, the crazy number is the total runtime of each machine is roughly the same. It would take around 16 hours of total CNC runtime, whether it's on the Fox Alien or on the Shapeoko, to cut that amount out. Pretty wild. Now the final project is this 3D carving. Now I've seen 3D carvings like this go anywhere from $50 to $150 about this size. So let's safely assume that we can make around $60 in profit for a sign this size. It would take 76 signs and over 110 hours of CNC time to pay off the Shapeoko. But keep in mind, on this machine, you never be able to actually pay it off with any kind of 3D carvings. And if you are doing 3D carvings on a $500 CNC, please let me know in the comments down below. You would be one of the first I have ever seen or talked to that can do it. So all number and projects aside, what is my personal experience with a $500 versus a $5,000 CNC? Well, to give you a little bit of background, I owned 12 machines worth over $500,000, and I have made easily over 250,000 products with every level of CNC. And I will tell you firsthand that if I started with a $500 CNC, I would have probably never created the business I have today. Because there is so many things that can go wrong here. I have seen the project success rate and the happiness level of people with this type of CNC, right? A budget CNC, $500 range. The success rate is very low. I'll just say it as there's so many things that can go wrong, and you already probably don't know what you're doing. And so getting a machine that doesn't work properly is like two negatives, right? It sucks. And so if you're judging it on, you know what, I'm gonna make 2 or 3 of these signs on this CNC and I'm okay with learning a little bit, something like this is fine, right? I like to make stuff, right? I like to get stuff out of my ADHD head, put it on the computer, and it cuts out, and I'm like, look at what I did, honey, right? That's what camp I am in. And so by getting a bigger machine, you are able to actually make stuff and enjoy the hobby. This machine will teach you every single thing that's wrong with the hobby, and this machine will tell you every single thing that is good about the hobby. That is the difference, right? All projects and numbers aside, that is the real difference. Happier people use this one, and people that like to get pissed off constantly typically use this one. Now, people say this is a good learning machine. Yes, it will teach you every single thing that can go wrong with the CNC. If that's how you want to learn, that's the machine for you. If you like to make stuff, I would say save your money. And yes, CNC is an expensive hobby, right? The bits are expensive, the software is expensive, wood is expensive. But if you screw it up, it gets even more expensive. So That's just my take. You don't have to buy a $5,000 one. Get a used one. Get a $2,000, $2,500 one. Just my opinion, those suck. These are better. So I hope this video helped, and I hope you left it with more knowledge than when you started. If you'd like to see a CNC review, check out this video right here. And if you'd like to see me and my business, check out this video right here.